episode 22. Today, we are going to be talking about how to get people to take you seriously as a founder before you have big results. So, this is a pretty common question that I get. So, I wanted to touch on it of kind of how to deal with that early period of trying to create a business, run a business without necessarily being successful yet, and still going out there into the world and being in front of your friends and your family and potential customers and all this kind of stuff, without people necessarily taking you serious or your business serious. And you know it's a very personal thing, so it makes sense why I get a lot of questions about this, because it's how people are living their personal lives while they're going through the process of trying to be a founder of a business. So I understand why I get that question so much. So I did want to talk about it a little bit here today. So, you know, I think when it comes to being a up and coming entrepreneur, when you first start out as a founder or an entrepreneur, almost half the battle is your mind state. The other half of the battle is obviously the work, the relentless work that you're going to have to put in. But the other half is just getting your mind in the right place, not only committing to what you're doing, but having the mental ability to get through what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. For a lot of people, that has a lot to do with how people are perceiving them as somebody who's trying to run a business. Now, we all know that most businesses fail, especially within the first 3 years. So when we're going out there into the world telling people that we're a founder or an entrepreneur, we're essentially telling them we're going on an endeavor that most people do not succeed at. And so there's a lot of negativity out there, even from your friends and family, of people saying maybe you shouldn't do this, or just not taking you serious, or thinking that you are not cut out for that. Yes, there may be some successful business people, but that's not going to be you. It's not going to be my friend or my cousin, or whatever it is. They look at you a little too closely, maybe. And so it's a big fear that people have, getting through and continuing to go for your dreams and run your business and build your business, while other people may be perceiving you as a failure or a joke or somebody that's not serious. So it's important to have your mind in the right place to be able to get past that. Even when it comes to customers, when you're early on in the stage, there's your lack of social proof. They may not be able to find reviews on you. They, may be asking questions about that. So there's a few things that come into play when we're talking about getting through, the the perception of you as an entrepreneur and your business as a business, and getting across to that other side where you do have more social proof for your business, and you do have more confidence as an entrepreneur, in front of your friends, your family, your colleagues, so that you feel more comfortable, being proud of being an entrepreneur. And I talked about on a previous episode, somebody asked me the question of, what do you tell your friends and family when they ask what you're doing and you're trying to explain to them, your business? I say, tell them you're following your dream. What a powerful statement that is. When they ask you what you do for a living, you say, actually, I founded my own business and I'm following my dream. Very powerful statement to make, and also something that's going to make people take you a lot more serious. Now, a lot of founders early on have those issues of their friends and family not taking them seriously, their customers, questioning their legitimacy, especially some of your first customers. You don't have any experience, any reviews. And also, whether it's your friends or family, or other people saying, oh, that's just a side thing, that's just something you're trying to do, trying to make a small business, whatever it is. So some people, even if they don't mean to, they kind of, demean what it is that you're doing. And as a founder and an entrepreneur, you just need to be okay with that and comfortable with that. What you need to do is realize that most people do fail. So they're not necessarily wrong for thinking that you may fail or that you'll probably fail. They're statistically correct. It's your job as the entrepreneur and the founder of this new business to prove them wrong. And to do that, it takes a lot of work and it takes a lot of, kind of confidence in yourself to get over the mental struggles of making this happen. So you can't necessarily blame friends, family, other people for being somewhat skeptical or negative about what you're doing, because again, they are technically right. Most businesses do fail, and it's up to you to prove them wrong. It's up to you to prove everyone wrong, and to make sure that you prove that you're going to be one of those that do succeed. And typically, the biggest factor is, are you working your butt off every day to get your business to the next level? What I've found is that if you're really putting in the work on a daily basis, you're really learning your industry like you should be, then you're not going to care what friends or family or other people may think or say, because it's almost an inside joke. You know how lucrative this industry can be. You know what you have to do to break through the door of this industry, and you know that you're working on it on a daily basis. So at that point, whatever people say, it's almost like an inside joke to you of, yeah, they might not think I'm that serious, or, they think it's going to take me 20 years to do this or whatever. But if you know what you're doing, it allows you to just kind of brush it off and let it roll off your shoulder and just know, I know what I'm doing. I know how I'm going to get there, and I'm working on getting there, and I will not stop until I get there. That's the easiest way to get through all of this, is that confidence. And that confidence doesn't necessarily come from actually attaining the success. It comes from knowing that you're doing what you need to do to eventually attain the success. So don't be discouraged, even if things aren't working and you don't have enough money yet, the revenue's not flowing enough. You can still be confident to the world and to your friends and family and potential customers and everybody by knowing, I know what I'm doing. I've learned what I need to learn. I've done my research. I've done my preparation. I know what I'm looking to do. I know the work it's going to take to get there, and I'm working on it every day. That's all that matters. So, you know, when it comes to credibility, this is a big issue a lot of people have as a new founder or entrepreneur building a new business. The need for credibility. First off, a lot of it is unnecessary because you're looking to build credibility maybe with your friends or family or people in your life or people on social media that you don't necessarily need to build credibility. Just don't worry about what they're saying in the first place. But obviously, to customers, you need credibility. So there's a few ways to go about that in the early stages. Obviously, kind of the fake it till you make it, type of scenario. But also there's asking friends and family for help, asking them if they will be the first person to purchase your product or service, to then give you a review. I always like to, in those situations, tell people, have your friends and family actually purchase the product or service and give you the feedback on it, and then do a review. Especially nowadays, some of the review places you need to actually, have purchased the product. Whether it's like on Amazon or whatever, you have to actually have purchased it to do a review. So instead of just having people go do you favors of, posting fake reviews, ask your friends and family to purchase your product or service, to give you feedback on it, and also to, be able to do a legitimate review as well. And I know some people don't want to involve their friends or their family in their business, especially in the early stages. But I feel that that's something you need to get over. And especially in the beginning, you're going to need to use that small network of people that you have that would support you to get the ball rolling. It's almost impossible to go from 0 to 1,000 followers on social media, for example, without having some of the people you already know give you those few follows and first few likes and get the algorithm going. So it's especially important in today's world, the online world, to use that little core of friends and family, that you have. Now, here's one thing to keep in mind. Don't be upset at your friends or family if they do not support your business or if they won't purchase your product or service. Coming from the real estate industry, which is one of the industries that I am in, one of the big things with realtors, mortgage brokers, um, these type of industry professionals is they all know you're usually more likely to get a deal from a total stranger than your friends or family. There's something psychological with your friends and family that think maybe you're not as professional as another realtor, or that's just my cousin. I've partied with him before, he's not a professional realtor. Because you're seeing behind the scenes and you're too close to it, when really, in fact, a lot of people are great realtors and could do a great job for you, but you just don't see them like that because they're your friend or family. And so it's a pretty common saying in the real estate industry for realtors and loan officers or just salespeople in general to say, you're more likely to get a total stranger to give you their business than to get your friends or family to give you your business. And it is true to an extent. So you can't be mad when your friends or family don't support you by actually purchasing your product or service, but you definitely want to try. And I think a lot of the early entrepreneurs and founders, they don't try because they're embarrassed, or they just don't want to push on people or be salesy. But remember, those are the low hanging fruit. If you're not even going to be able to go after the people who already know you and are right in front of you, and that you can kind of give a nudge of, hey, can you support me and do this, then it's going to be harder to bring that product to the world. So focus on that little base that you have first. And I guess I shouldn't say focus necessarily. That's just the easy thing. Texting a couple friends or family, sending them, hey, can you repost this or can you purchase this and then give me a review, whatever it is. It's not something that needs to take all day, even one day. It's just real quick, just get it out the way and get it done so that you can take advantage of that low hanging fruit and then move on to the marketplace with a little bit of momentum. You have some followers on social, you have some people who've purchased the product, you have some reviews. Now we can start going out into the marketplace to prove that it works for people who don't know you. But you definitely want to use that little core of your friends and family and take advantage of it, to get the ball rolling. Don't be afraid of it. And also don't be angry if somebody doesn't do it, especially if you're in an industry where, like I said, a realtor or a loan officer, where somebody's becoming your client and they're having to trust you with, the largest transaction of their life, like buying a home, for example. You can't take offense that somebody wants to work with somebody that they don't have a relationship, that they only have a professional relationship with. And that person that they're using probably goes out and parties just like their cousin does, but they'd rather, they don't, they know their cousin and they go party with them, so they don't feel like they're that much of a professional, so they work with another professional even though they don't know that that person probably does the same type of things in their own time. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that make sure you take advantage of the opportunity that you have to use that low hanging fruit to have your friends or family get the ball rolling for you, but also don't take offense if they don't. You're just trying to get those few low hanging fruit to get the ball rolling. You're not trying to make a living necessarily off getting your friends and family to kind of do you a favor of purchasing your product or service and getting a review for you and stuff. That's not, how you're trying to necessarily make a living. You're just trying to get the people who will to do it and to get that ball rolling so you can then take it to the marketplace. And funny enough, when you go out there to the marketplace and become successful, the people who didn't support you before that are your friends and family, they will come back and probably be asking for free things or free services, which is sometimes a little annoying, but they'll come back even to purchase things as well once you've given them the justification and the market has verified you. And that's the thing, you can't be mad at that. You can't be mad at people when you're in the beginning of your business for being skeptical. The number one reason why businesses fail is because people just quit, right? A lot of the times it's because they ran out of money and then they quit. But running out of money doesn't mean that your company is over. I've had plenty of companies run out of money and then I have to fund them out of my pocket, or we have to figure out a way to go get some money, or rearrange vendors, payment plan. I mean, there's a million things you can do to keep going even once you run out of money. So the real reason why people fail is that they don't keep going. And again, it's statistically proven that most businesses are going to fail. And they're going to fail because the person is not going to continue. So your friends or family or the people that you're around or your early customers or whatever, you can't blame them for doubting you because you haven't proven that you're going to keep going yet. The number one factor of if your business is going to be successful is, are you going to quit or not? And are you going to work hard or not? And only you truly know that. Only you can look in the mirror every day and say, I know for a fact I'm never stopping. They don't know that. They don't know what you're going through. They're probably going to assume like you fall in the bucket of everyone else, which would mean that more than 50% of the time the business fails. And so you can't blame them for just looking at the statistics and going by everything. It's not necessarily being negative. A lot of the time it's just them being practical. All right. And let's talk about how to, when you're talking to people about your business, how to kind of overcome some of this thought when you're talking to your friends, your family, potential customers, potential partners early in the process. What can you do to increase the chance that they will take you serious and take your business serious? Well, first of all, is the knowledge that you've actually gained about the industry, about your company, how passionate you are about it, how passionately you speak about it, but really how passionate you speak with knowledge. Because you could be passionate all day, but it's about speaking passionately and informatively about your business to where people go, wow, they are so driven and determined and so knowledgeable about what they're talking about, they're going to succeed. You can feel it when somebody is driven, when they're educated about what they're trying to do, and when they're passionate about it, and you can hear the passion in their voice. Now, you want confidence, and confidence doesn't necessarily mean being loud, right? It means having clarity on what it is that you're doing and, being confident about that and passionate about that. A lot of the times the loudest person screaming is the person who has it least together. So just being super hype about something and yelling about it is not what we're talking about. We're just talking about when you're speaking about what you're doing in your business, you're confident because you know what you're talking about, you know information, you're helping educate people on what it is that you do, how you can help people, and you just are very knowledgeable and passionate about what you're doing. You could be passionate about what you're doing, but have not have done your research, so they understand you're passionate about selling real estate, but you don't actually know the laws and the ins and outs about it. They can see through that, right? So make sure that when we're talking about confidence, We're not just talking about the confidence that you're not going to stop working and that you're going to keep working until you do it, and the confidence that you're passionate about your business. The confidence also comes from the knowledge that you've gained and the education that you've given yourself so that you know you have that as the backstop. You should feel confident talking to experts in your industry, right? So that you become an expert in your industry. And that when you're around your friends, your family, your potential customers, you sound like an expert in the industry, not just somebody that's excited about the industry, somebody that's becoming an expert in the industry and putting in the work to get there and making sure you're putting in the work to have the knowledge to get there and convey that knowledge to other people and your passion. All right. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and um, open it up to questions here. We got a lot of questions today, so we'll go ahead and get into some questions. So, you can always drop questions there live in the chat. We do stream this live on X and YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and Kick and all the different platforms. So you can drop a comment there and I can answer any questions live. You can also send us any questions to on social media through DMs at Kyle Hiersche and at Founding Without Funding. I got some questions here that were sent to my DM that we can start it off with. So let me go ahead and get into some questions here. So, question from Matt: I feel like people don't really take my business seriously yet. How do you change that without pretending? So, if people aren't taking your business serious yet, I would say maybe you're not taking it that serious yet. But also keep in mind, more than 50% of businesses fail, and everybody knows that. And so you can't blame people for not taking you seriously until you've proven that you're serious. Because every person that starts a business goes into it thinking they're taking it seriously. But the real difference is, are they going to still be doing that in a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years? Right? That's the difference. So don't blame people for making you feel like that. Of course, some people are way more negative than they need to be, but for the most part, most people are just kind of genuinely going based on the statistics, knowing that most small businesses fail, and that, hopefully they might be hoping for the best, that you're not going to be one of those, but they know that typically small businesses fail and typically entrepreneurs eventually give up. So again, some people are kind of purposely negative. We would call those haters. But other than that, I think most people are just kind of waiting for you to prove that you are different than the statistics that most businesses fail. Okay. Question from Alicia: how do you sound confident when you're still figuring things out? So how do you sound confident when you're still figuring things out? I would say probably just learning everything you need to learn so that you know the ins and outs of the business. So yes, maybe you haven't had those lessons of doing the things yet, because we all know the real lessons and knowledge comes from the act of actually doing things and learning them and going through them. But if you've done your baseline research and read all the books and taken the courses and the classes, and you follow people in that industry on social media to watch their reels, and if you're immersing yourself in this industry and in this business, that's the best thing that you can do to sound like you know what you're doing, even if you haven't done it yet. And I think it's a big combination of both. You want to have that foundation, and then you want to actually go out there and start learning by doing. And during that whole process, it's going to keep boosting your confidence and keep making you sound like you know more of what you're talking about. Okay, question from Chris. Is it better to be super transparent early on or keep things simple when explaining what you do? So is it better to keep things simple when explaining what you do early on? Yeah, I mean, I think it's always best to keep things simple, when you're explaining what you do. And if you're talking about to your friends and family in a social way, you can do that kind of however you want. But if we're talking to customers, potential clients, potential referrals, we want to be simple and, elevator pitch, as they say, something nice and simple and something that people can get and understand and, not get too into the weeds. Now, you want to know the knowledge so that if they want to get into the weeds, you can, but you don't need to start pressing a bunch of information on people. Just keep it very simple and say, this is what I do. This is what I'm doing. Especially if it's in sales, say, hey, let me know if you need any help, or if you know anybody that may need any help with this. I would love to help them out. Okay. Question here from Lauren. How do you stop over explaining your idea to get people to believe in it? So I guess it's the same thing. Just keep it simple. Question here from Evan. What's one thing founders do that instantly makes them look less credible? What's one thing founders do that instantly makes them look less credible? I am not sure. I think just maybe the inflated ego of starting a business. There's a lot of people I've talked to that say, I have my own business. And some people use the creation of a LLC or something as like a benchmark, saying they've done something like, oh, I have my own business, just because they've created an LLC, which, this is something that takes minutes to do online and costs less than $150. And so, that's not, I'm proud of you to do that and to start the journey of your dreams. But I think some people look down on other people that may not have their corporation started yet, or they just get a false sense of inflated ego because they've gone and done the paperwork they were supposed to do. They might not even be making money. They might not even be using the LLC to run the money through the bank accounts and stuff. But, they're like, oh, well, I have my own company. I own my own company. So I think the ego comes into play there. And I think that's one of the things that's a turn off, when you're a entrepreneur, a founder, to go around kind of, bragging about just owning the company. You should be, not necessarily bragging, but you should be proud of what the company is doing, proud of how you're building the company, how you're helping customers and clients and your employees, all this kind of stuff. That's what you want to be proud of and talk about, not just the fact that you're a boss, or that you are the head honcho, or that you started a business, right? It's be proud of what your business is actually doing, and that will make sure that you're doing the things that you need to do for it to be something you can be proud of. Okay, question here from Nina. Does charging more actually make people take you more seriously? So this is a good question. We went over this in a little bit in a different episode when we were talking about pricing strategies. I would say no. Having a larger price point does not just make people take you more serious right off the bat. To be honest with you, having a super high price point just writes off a lot of people right off the bat. I can tell you, when I'm looking for a product or service personally, the ones that are super, super high, it's just, okay, that's just not even realistic, right? They're just getting written off right in the beginning. And there's usually something in the middle that seems like a great value for a good price. And that's the one that I'm typically going to go with personally. So no, it doesn't, just because you charge more, that doesn't mean that you're more serious. And one of the things we spoke about in the previous episode when we were talking about pricing as well is that typically in the beginning you want the price point lower so that you can actually get people in the door. Because if you say, oh, I want to be taken seriously, so when I launch my product or service, it's going to be super, super high end and super expensive. I mean, if you think it's hard to sell, a high price product, even when you're, Louis Vuitton or some luxury brand like that, imagine trying to do it with zero testimonials, zero sales, zero previous customers, and just trying to come out the gate with a giant expensive price point. It's typically, not going to work. So no, I would not say that having a giant price point makes people take you more serious. It's probably going to make you less serious as a business because you're going to have less clients, less customers, less leads, and less action and less feedback on what it is that you're doing, especially in the beginning. Okay, last couple questions here we'll take. Jordan is asking, how do you handle friends and family who still see your business as a side thing? So if you have friends and family that still see your business as a side thing, that's okay. It doesn't really matter what they think, but it also may still be a side thing. And that's okay too, right? Just as long as you're doing it and as long as you're going in the right direction. Don't worry about what other people think or say. And again, Some people, friends, family, when they hear about your business or what you're doing, they're not even trying to be negative necessarily. We just all know the statistics that most businesses fail. And so, they're not on some negative thing towards you in particular. We all know that most businesses fail. So to kind of maybe doubt or kind of see failure coming is something that would be natural when they look at the statistics and say, yeah, most businesses fail. I wish you the best, but you know, statistically, you're probably going to fail. And the only person that's going to know if you're not going to fail is you, because you're going to know if you're committed to this and you're going to keep doing it until you become a success. All right, question here from Rachel. What matters more early on, confidence or proof? Well, I think you get confidence from proof. But yeah, I mean, proof, I think, is what it's really about. That's why I'm so into getting the minimal viable product out there, advertising it, getting people in the system and starting those conversions because I want proof. I want the marketplace to prove that somebody's willing to pay for something. And I want my company to be able to prove we can deliver that product or service once we've sold it. So for me personally, I think proof is everything. And your confidence is going to come from having that proof, being able to go out there into the world, whether it's customers, the public, your friends, your family, and know that you are making sales and that there are people out there that believe in your product or service or business enough to put their money where their mouth is, meaning to purchase it with their dollars. Okay. Question here from Daniel. How do you build credibility when when you're entering a crowded market? So how do you build credibility when you're entering a crowded market? The same thing you would do in any other market. You just want to, again, probably have like a lower price point so that you can start getting those that action, getting those customers and getting testimonials. Obviously, doing things like running specials for people who give you a testimonial, giving them some kind of free product or service after they purchase your regular product or service. If they go and give you a review, there's all kinds of strategies to that. There's different courses and videos you can look up on how to get more reviews and increase your presence going into a new market. But I would say, just treat it like any other market where no matter what market you're in or how crowded it is, you're trying to stand out by offering a great product or service at a great price, and then making sure that the people who do purchase it, you deliver it in a great manner, and then get reviews from people that you did deliver a great product and a great service at a great price in a great manner, and then that will turn into more reviews, which will turn into you being larger in that market. Okay, last question here from Samantha. If someone wants to be taken seriously this month, what's the first thing they should change? That's a good question. If you want to be taken serious this month, like as of right now, just do what needs to be done to be taken serious. Sit down and ask yourself, what would it take for me to take someone serious? If they tell me they started a business and I don't know anything about that business yet, what would they tell me? What would show me that they're serious about it? And typically that's going to be, do they know what they're doing in the industry? Do they know about the industry? Do they know the challenges, the pros, the cons? Have they been to the classes? Have they taken the courses? And are they confident they're going to do this? That's really what it's about. One of the things that you can do to help this, and this is to help you, especially if you're like a salesperson, a realtor, or a loan officer, or a salesperson, or even a startup business, whatever it is, show people. Don't just tell people, show them that you're doing what you should be doing. So for example, let's say you're a realtor. Let's say you post all the time on your social media. Friends and family, hey, if you ever need a house, let me know. I'm a realtor now, and you keep posting that over and over again. And you're like, why isn't anybody, using me? Well, that's not really the best way to get business. Now, here's a great way to let all of your friends and family know that they should come to you for real estate. Stop posting about them giving you their business and start posting about how you're an expert in real estate. and let the proof show them. So for example, show them that you're going to all the real estate events, go to conferences, go to events, go to networking events, and post that you're there. Post the pictures, post what you're learning, who you're meeting. Show the actual proof that you're doing these things, and then people will know that you're an expert. So become an expert and become immersed in that business and show that. So, instead of posting, hey, give me your business, or posting ads and flyers and promos, post the proof that you're an expert, so that when they're thinking of selling house, they're saying, Kyle is always posting, he's at all the different events, all these real estate events, and he's always doing real estate stuff, and he's always at open houses and all this stuff. So I know he's an expert in this. So when it comes time to sell my house, I'm going to call Kyle, because every time I go on Facebook, I see that he's at some kind of real estate conference, or he's at some kind of open house, or he's working with some kind of client. I can see it with my own eyes. That's one of the beautiful things about social media nowadays. Not only does it help us network, does it help us advertise and all that, but it helps us show what we're already doing. So all these people that have been experts in their craft, that have been going to all these events and doing all these things, before social media, they didn't have a chance to showcase that to the world. It was only the physical people they were meeting that could say, yeah, I saw him at all the different events. And, I see that they are an expert and they know all the right people to get around. Well, now you can showcase that to everyone. So I tell people all the time, it's not just about going to these events or these conferences or, classes or whatever it is. It's about showing people that you went to them as well, especially if you're something like a realtor or a loan officer or some kind of salesperson. This is the social proof that people want, that you are out there selling homes. Post the people with the key to their house that you just sold them their home. These are some things that some realtors or loan officers let it just slip right by. So for example, if you're a realtor, maybe you don't need to go to the closing. A lot of realtors don't go to the closing. The client goes to the title company, signs the papers. And here's the thing, the title company will usually, if they're smart, they'll usually have some kind of sign that's like a big cardboard key that's cut out for people to hold up and take a picture of, and saying, I just bought my first home, happy new homeowner. And a lot of times the realtor will never post that. And the realtor won't even go to the closing in order to be there for that moment, to get a picture like that with the client, to get a testimonial from the client, maybe a little video or, something. This is where the magic happens. So it amazes me that some realtors or loan officers would have the ability to go to a closing at the title company or wherever that closing may be, and they don't. They just want to receive their check. That's where the social proof comes in. So if you're a realtor that's always posting, I just sold this house, or congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so on their new house that I just helped them buy, and you're at these real estate conferences and you're saying, it was so great networking with all these people and learning so much about real estate, and you're posting the pictures of you at the event. This is the social proof that's going to show everybody that you're serious about what you're doing. And when it comes to some type of sales job like that, that's involved with, like I said, real estate, like involved with a lot of referrals and stuff like that, that's what people want to see. They don't want to see you posting all day, I have my real estate license now, all of my friends and family should use me. No, show them that you not only have your real estate license, but you're an active realtor, that you're active in the scene, that you know what you're talking about, that you're putting in the work to go to the events, go to the classes, take the courses, all that kind of stuff. That's what's going to make people want to do business with you, that they're seeing that you're actually buying and selling homes for clients, that you're posting your clients holding up the key to their house and they're super happy. These are things that are going to make people naturally know, not think. They're going to know that you know what you're doing. They're going to know that they should be using you, because you are the one that's an expert. As far as they can see, you're putting in the work to be an expert, and you are an expert, as opposed to just posting, asking for people's business. All right, with that being said, thank you everybody for tuning in, and we'll wrap it up, and we'll see you on